This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
أحييكم. نبدأ من بريطانيا، حيث أكد رئيس الوزراء البريطاني غوردون براون أن بلاده علقت رحلات الطيران.
British Prime Minister Gordon Brown confirmed that his country suspended direct flights from Yemen to Britain as part of the enhanced airport security measures. The new measures come in response to the attempted bombing of a Detroit-bound plane last December. Investigators have linked the incident to Yemen. Meanwhile, the Yemeni Air Force launched a series of raids targeting the home of al-Qaeda operative Ayad al-Shibwani in the Obaida Valley in the province of Mareb, east of Sana'a. Al-Shibwani is among 6 members of al-Qaeda killed in an airstrike last week, according to the Yemeni government. However, al-Qaeda dismissed the report in a later statement.
من جهة أخرى ذكر تقرير للجنة العلاقات الخارجية في مجلس الشيوخ الأمريكي.
In another development, a report by the U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations stated that some U.S. citizens suspected of training in al-Qaeda camps in Yemen may pose a serious threat to the United States. The report added that a group of up to 36 former U.S. criminals who arrived in Yemen in the past year ostensibly to study Arabic may have joined al-Qaeda.
It has been 1 year since Obama succeeded President Bush and took office.
Obama promised to improve his image abroad and adopt more flexible policies in Iraq, Afghanistan, and the Middle East in general.
Wajd Waqfi sheds some light on Obama's foreign policy in the following report.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
منذ اليوم الأول له كرئيس كان يدرك باراك أوباما أنه جاء خلفا.
Since his first day in office, Barack Obama knew that he was following a president whose policies caused a decrease in the popularity of the U.S. and its citizens worldwide. Obama's first objective was closing Guantanamo Bay Prison. Only 2 days after he took office, he ordered its closure within a year. However, a year has passed by and Guantanamo Bay Prison is still open. Obama's second stated objective was to improve America's image in the Islamic world, afflicted by the 2 wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He traveled to Cairo and gave his famous speech, but it seems that nothing has changed. Iraq is preoccupied with the upcoming elections, but is still waiting for the alleged American troop withdrawal. And the justified war, as referred to by Nobel Peace Prize winner Obama, was placed on the front burner. Of course, we are talking about the war in Afghanistan. He sent more than 20,000 soldiers in the first few months of his term in office.
فأرسل ما يزيد عن 20,000 جندي أمريكي خلال الشهور الأولى لرئاسته.
His administration adopted a new strategy and sent an additional 30,000 soldiers to Afghanistan. The effects of the war have reached its nuclear neighbor.
وطالت تأثيرات الحرب جارتها النووية.
Whenever the number of troops increases, the number of casualties increases as well, among both soldiers and civilians. We have seen what happened in the coast attack. I think that there will be more casualties in Afghanistan, similar to those in Iraq.
The Middle East peace process remains stalled. The right-wing government in Israel refuses to respond to international demands. This compelled Arab countries to request guarantees from Washington and a clarification about its vision for a peace settlement between Israel and the Palestinians.
We feel that President Obama is not comfortable with what is happening in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. I think that the Obama administration will intensify its efforts in the coming months.
الحوار كان خيار أوباما في التعامل مع ملف إيران النووي، لكن ما بين مد وجزر المقترحات.
Dialogue was Obama's way of dealing with Iran's nuclear program, but the tone between Tehran and the West has escalated after the exchange proposals didn't go far. The U.S. threatened to impose sanctions on Iran and even use force to hit Iran's nuclear installations.
السياسة الخارجية شائكة ومعقدة ويتطلب حلها سنوات.
It is true that foreign policy issues tend to be complicated and often need years before getting resolved. But political observers believe that the Obama administration has created new issues like the one in Yemen instead of resolving old ones. Wajd Wakfi, Al Jazeera, Washington.
According to an unpublished report by the CIA, there is growing evidence that Iran is moving forward with its special research program for the development of nuclear weapons. However, the report said that the program for the development of an atomic bomb has not been launched completely. According to Reuters, in what was attributed to a U.S. official speaking on condition of anonymity, the CIA report details the launch of the Iranian research program as opposed to the production of nuclear weapons. The last report issued by the CIA was published in 2007 and confirmed that Iran halted in 2003 its secret program for the treatment and enrichment of uranium. Meanwhile, diplomats at the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, confirmed that Iran officially rejected the key terms of a draft deal pertaining to the shipment of low-enriched uranium abroad. In exchange, Iran will get nuclear fuel for its Tehran research reactor. Iran had previously rejected the IAEA proposal and presented its own.
رسميا جاء رد طهران هذه المرة.
Tehran's response was official and definite. Iran rejected the key terms of the draft deal submitted by the IAEA in early October of last year. In a written formal document, Tehran told the IAEA that it rejected the key terms of the draft deal pertaining to the shipment of 70% of its low-enriched uranium abroad in exchange for nuclear fuel to be used in Tehran's research reactor. The deal aims at lowering the quantity of uranium in Iran to a level less than the quantity needed to produce nuclear weapons. Iran had previously rejected the shipment of low-enriched uranium abroad. Instead, Tehran said that it wants a simultaneous exchange of the uranium for nuclear fuel to take place on Iranian territory or to buy nuclear fuel directly. It's expected that this Iranian position will likely cause more pressure on Iran, especially considering that the deadline it was given by the West expired at the end of last year. However, Iranian officials don't appear too concerned about the deadline. Iranian Foreign Minister Manasher Mataki has given the West a deadline to respond to the Iranian proposal by the end of the month. It seems that Iran's decision was influenced by the position taken by some of the G6 nations that warned against the new sanctions on Iran. The G6 nations met a few days ago in New York City to discuss the sanctions on Iran, but the meeting was adjourned without reaching an agreement.
We discussed the issue and prepared a political evaluation. However, the meeting did not lead to any definite results. We did not make any decisions.
وما لم يقله المندوب الروسي قالته الصين علانية لجهة رفضها أي عقوبات جديدة.
These were the concluding remarks of the Russian ambassador. Meanwhile, the Chinese envoy to the UN has openly rejected any new sanctions on Iran. On the other hand, German Chancellor Angela Merkel announced that her country is preparing to levy new sanctions on Iran if the latter doesn't change its position. In a preemptive move, the Islamic Republic and its defense minister, Ahmed Wahidi, warned that Tehran will attack warships in the Gulf if attacked over its nuclear program. Firas Kilani, BBC.
Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair is preparing to testify before an inquiry committee investigating his role in the invasion of Iraq. He already has some reasons to be concerned. Testimonies given by members of his former administration, as well as recent polls showing that the majority of the British public believes that he concealed the truth in order to justify the invasion of Iraq.
فصول جريمة العصر غزو العراق من قبل الولايات المتحدة وحليفتها بريطانيا New chapters are added to the crime of the century as the British and American invasion of Iraq continues to unfold. More facts are being revealed and more confessions are being published, including those by former members of Tony Blair's government who participated in the planning of the Iraq invasion. The image of defending international peace and democracy, which both Bush and Blair tried to impose on the international community through political, military, and media campaigns, has started to collapse.
العائدين من حرب خاضوها دون أي مبررات أخلاقية.
Evidence emerged showing that Blair misled the British public, which is already shocked by the death of British soldiers in a war launched without any moral reasons. According to a poll, the majority of the British people believe that Blair misled them when he justified the participation of Britain in the war on the basis that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction. 23% of Britons believe that he should be tried for war crimes. This harsh truth undoubtedly will have a big influence on Blair, who will testify before the Chilcot inquiry by the end of the month, not to mention the confessions made by Blair's former Chief of Staff, Jonathan Powell. Powell reiterated that Iraq did not pose a threat before the invasion. However, Powell tried to defend Blair by saying that he does not recall some events when the inquiry committee asked him about the evidence that Blair presented to the parliament to support his claim that the threat posed by Iraq had increased. In addition, the district attorney and UN chief weapons inspector reiterated that Blair dragged Britain into the war to appease the US. He was willing to lie because he thought that he would be able to share with Washington influence in Iraq. The Stop the War Coalition announced that a demonstration will be held demanding that Blair be held accountable on the same day he is scheduled to testify in front of the inquiry, in hopes that justice will be served and that Blair will be punished. Meanwhile, millions of Iraqis who lost loved ones and were displaced from their homes hope that London will end its occupation of their country and apologize for shedding the blood of the Iraqis for no reason. They also hope to see Bush tried in a court of justice so he can be held accountable for the many crimes he committed against Iraq and its people.
Secretary of Defense and Tony Blair's cabinet in the run-up to the invasion of Iraq has been giving evidence at the Iraq Inquirer. Jeff Hoon claims that the UK's decision to go to war was not inevitable and only arrived after Parliament approved it. But he did admit that Britain had been keen to play a significant role in post-war Iraq.
Jeff Hoon is the first senior minister in government at the time of the invasion to be questioned by the panel. The latest session of the inquiry opened with the release of previously classified letters that provided a fresh insight into the political wrangling in the build-up to war. It's now become clear that 1 year prior to the invasion, the then Attorney General Lord Goldsmith, who provided the government with legal advice on going to war, told Jeff Hoon that there were considerable difficulties in justifying military action. He also said he wasn't aware of any material that pointed to the existence of an imminent threat from Iraq. The former Defence Secretary was keen to emphasise that no decision was taken to go to war until Parliament had voted on it, and that the UK's military involvement in Iraq was not a foregone conclusion.
I never assumed that we were in a position of unconditionally resorting to military action, actually right up until the vote in the House of Commons.
But his comments don't sit well with revelations from former Prime Minister Tony Blair's spokesman at the time, Alistair Campbell, who in an earlier session admitted that Blair had offered assurances to President Bush that should diplomacy fail, the UK would back military action. Jeff Hoon also denied prior knowledge of the now infamous claim in the government's Iraq dossier that Iraq's military could deploy chemical weapons within 45 minutes. The claim is seen by many as pivotal in convincing Parliament to go to war, but was later discredited. But Hoon did admit that following the decision to invade, the UK was keen to provide a significant number of troops in order to be able to play a stronger role in post-war Iraq.
In a military alliance, if that was what it was going to become, But if you are involved to a significant extent, that means that your voice is necessarily louder in the discussions that take place.
The former Secretary of Defence's appearance comes at a time when the Liberal Democrats and Scottish nationalists are demanding that another cabinet minister of the time, now Prime Minister Gordon Brown, give evidence before the UK's next general election.
Now we're just asking the Prime Minister not to go into the line of fire of live bullets the way the soldiers did, but to go into the line of fire of live questioning before the election, when it is material to the voters. And you know, Mr Brown was looking for a position for Mr Blair as EU President in Brussels only a few months ago. Perhaps Mr Blair should be found a position in The Hague would be far more appropriate than any position in Brussels.
Former Prime Minister Tony Blair, who led the country to war in 2003, is due to give evidence to the inquiry at the end of this month. The country's public awaits his questioning with bated breath. Hassan Ghani, Press TV, London.
The latest Israeli war on Gaza left hundreds of Palestinians homeless and vulnerable to the cold temperatures of the winter. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, proposed building 12 mud units in order to help these people. But that proposal was undermined and rejected by some because it was viewed as counterproductive to the reconstruction efforts in Gaza. Zuhair Sakala reports from Gaza.
This old man went back in time by living in mud houses. Now he works with mud in his field and returns to his mud home. It's no longer a surprise that this man has to live in a mud home. The Israeli occupation destroyed everything that 60-year-old Haj Majid al-Athemna ever had. Now, 56 people find themselves living in a tent, which compelled the UNRWA to build them a 60-square-meter mud home.
If this is the alternative to our home, it will not work. It will not even compensate us for 1/1,000,000th of our original home.
But it seems that the UNRWA views the mud homes to be a successful solution. It proposed building 120 mud homes, but this was rejected by the construction contractors union in Gaza. They say that building mud homes is in effect what the occupation wants, and that building this many mud homes will negatively affect the fertile soil that provides the mud. In addition, it forces Gaza to expand horizontally and takes it back to the Stone Ages.
There are indications that this project is not intended as a temporary solution, rather as a permanent one. We can build the 120 homes proposed by UNRWA with enforced concrete to provide citizens with more protection from Israeli shelling and attacks.
However, the UNRWA insists that the objective of building the 120 mud homes is clear.
We in the UNRWA absolutely cannot use building material that enters Gaza through the tunnels. If we were to use this material in the reconstruction, then no one in the world could say that Gaza is under siege.
Each side sees the problem from their angle. Meanwhile, Palestinian citizens, including Haj Majid al-Athemna, are desperate to live in a shelter before they are stuck in mud. The afflicted people here, who are mainly concerned about their immediate need for shelter, believe that a mud home is the quickest solution to the problem. It seems that their dreams have shrunk little by little. Perhaps the continued differences over the reconstruction in Gaza and the helplessness they feel makes their dreams vanish. Zuhair Sakallah, Dubai Television, Gaza.
The United Nations said Israel's blockade of Gaza undermines the enclave's healthcare system and puts patients at risk. In a report, UN agencies called on Israel to relax its tight control of the enclave's borders to allow sufficient supply of essential items and let people seek care not available in the enclave. Ala Abu Swalem looks into the plight of Gazans 1 year after Israel's devastating war on the Palestinian territory.
1 year after Israel's war on Gaza, UN agencies and international organizations are calling on Israel to relax its tight control of the Strip's borders. Many organizations are calling for lifting the blockade in order to bring in a sufficient supply of essential items and give Gazans access to care not available in the enclave. The latest call came from UN agencies and the Association for International Development Agencies, AIDA, representing over 80 NGOs. Max Gaillard, resident humanitarian coordinator for the Palestinian territories, said the blockade undermines the local healthcare system and puts lives at risk.
What is happening now as a result of the blockade, which has now gone on for some years, is that all elements of the health system are deteriorating. There's no doubt about it. The people of Gaza are getting health service care now of a standard far less than they were some years ago, and it's not adequate.
Israel generally permits supplies of drugs into Gaza, but not always enough to prevent shortages. Certain medical equipment, such as X-ray and electronic devices, are difficult to bring in, and clinical staff frequently lack equipment they need. Doctors at Gaza City's Shifa Hospital Kidney Department said dialysis treatments had to be carefully rationed last year. The UN report released today said 1,103 patients sought permits for treatment in Israel last December. Most succeeded, but 21% were denied or delayed. The report said that 2 patients died in the past 2 months while waiting referral. In total, the report says that 27 patients have died while awaiting referral last year. 67-year-old Muhammad Abdelal, who was undergoing dialysis this week, said he had to wait 4 months for surgery in Israel to prepare for his dialysis. Palestinian high school student Fida Haji died of cancer while waiting for Israeli permission to go to an Israeli hospital for treatment. Israel dismissed the report, saying it doesn't reflect reality.
The medical situation in Gaza is as good as it can be under current conditions, and the World Health Organization has reported about it, and other serious organizations have reported about it. These latest accusations are contradictory to what serious UN organizations have seen on the ground and reported.
Critics accuse Israel of applying collective punishment to Gazans 1.5 million people. Israel refuses to let them have materials that can be put to military use. Ala Abu Swalem, Jordan Television.
Egypt Suez Canal Authority announced that the Suez Canal transit fees will remain steady in 2010 in hopes of increasing the numbers of ships that pass through the canal. The number has decreased to unprecedented levels because of the international financial crisis. According to the Canal Authority, this measure is aimed at helping the global shipping traffic, including the Suez Canal, which provides Egypt with one of its major national revenues. Ahmed Al-Kilani reports from the city of Al-Ismailiyah, located by the canal.
Egyptian officials mainly attribute the notable decrease in the Suez Canal revenue to the decrease in international trade and the global financial crisis.
In 2009, the revenue from fees collected from passing ships reached $4.3 billion, which is equivalent to 24 billion Egyptian pounds. This amounts to a 20.3% decrease in comparison to the 2008 revenues.
Egyptian officials said that the piracy in the Red Sea did not significantly affect the revenues of the Suez Canal. It caused only 10% of the revenue decrease. They added that piracy is a threat to all other canals, including the alternative route of Raja al-Salah.
The global financial crisis is blamed for 90% of the decrease in revenues. Piracy is blamed for 10%.
Regardless of the reasons, the decrease in the revenues has prevented the Suez Canal Authority from increasing the shipping fees for the second consecutive year. However, Egypt used the decrease in the numbers of passing ships to dredge the canal to 66 feet.
Dredging the canal to 66 feet allows the passage of vessels weighing 240,000 tons. This was impossible for many years, which was a concern for the Canal Authority.
The Suez Canal, which provides Egypt with one of its major national revenues, is facing many challenges. However, the Canal Authority is betting that the global shipping traffic will improve in 2010, although many believe that this improvement will not be strong or quick. Ahmed Al-Kalani, Dubai Television, Al-Ismailiyah.
The stormy weather hitting Lebanon caused flooding on the roads and material damages to the farming industry. The cold has led to the death of a citizen who froze to death.
The heavy rain on the city of Tyre flooded its roads and neighborhoods, turning them into swamps. The rain swept gravel and mud onto the streets, causing traffic jams and the flooding of the sewage system. As far as the high waves and strong winds are concerned, they caused the boat to suspend sailing from the port. Some fishermen moved their boats to the sidewalk, fearing their wreckage by the high waves and fierce winds. Even the electrical grid has not recovered from its blackouts, which further worsened the supply of electricity. In Marjayoun, roads have also been inundated, especially near the western entrance of the town of Hasbaya and on the highways and roads of Al-Krub. The water rose again in Al-Hasbani River as snow covered the hills of Shib'a and Al-Krub. Al-Krub is fully prepared to deal with the snowstorm expected to reach the town. The rain inundated farm fields, creating ponds and swamps in Al-Khyam, Al-Wazani, and Marjayoun.
The Jews have closed the crossing over there. The water flooded the wheat.
At the Kfar Kila crossing, a Spanish battalion of the United Nations Interim Forces in Lebanon worked on draining the water from the swamps to transfer it with tanks to the fields of Al-Khyam and then empty it in a field close to the settlement of Al-Mutatalli. In Sidon, citizen Mahmoud Deep Sheikh Ammar, a man in his 70s, was found dead. He froze to death inside a construction site near Dal Ifta in Sidon. Internal security forces, criminal attorneys, and forensic doctors examined the body at the site. They believe that the death was caused by the extreme cold. According to the local municipality in the south, the body was transferred to the Sidon Public Hospital.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs which connect you to the world.